Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Code Break for October 8th. And I did have to check because I really had no idea what day of the month it was. I knew it was October, so I'll take credit for that. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you. So Sue has learned. Like the first thing I normally do is like, can somebody say something so I know that people are here? So thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. Uh, Having a good day. Sad to see my Saints get their butt kicked by the Chiefs last night, but that's okay. I'm just happy football's on. I'll take that. As I say, maybe next year will be the Saints year. Um, Outside of that, though, life is pretty darn okay, and I will take that because okay is just fine. My eldest son is in town, which is great. I have missed him quite a bit. He's been in Germany for over a year doing teaching there. My son is, I'm going to brag on my son. He self taught German during COVID. He had 6, 7 years of Spanish, so he's incredibly fluent. And during COVID, he just self taught himself German. After COVID went away a bit and he went back to college, he chose to live in a German dorm so he can like immerse himself in the language. And now he's teaching in Germany before he goes back for his post grad type work. So he's in town. Very makes my heart very very happy to be able to hang out with him again. And outside that, life is good. And let's get started. I could keep rambling about the Saints and my son and all that. But what I'm gonna do is and thank you, Rod, for saying hi. I'm excited about charts as well. Um, I'm gonna shift this over. I have a plan. I have a plan, and then I add to stage, and that way, there you go. And that is perfect. So let me begin first by thanking my sponsor. Jam is a screen recording browser extension that auto includes your debug information. I've been sharing this for a couple sessions now because I've been sponsoring for a while, and I definitely appreciate them. But what I always say is that, when you have to work with somebody, when you have to debug something, getting that console information that we as web developers are used to having, getting that from a non-technical person can be a little hard. Well, their software just bundles all that up and ships it, so you don't have to worry about that. Makes it a heck of a lot more useful. They have integration with Jira, Linear, Asana, Notion, GitHub, and more. So check them out if you like this session. Show them some love for sponsoring it. I know that they would appreciate it. But so for today, we are going to be talking about JavaScript charting. And let me get my screen back up over here so I could see your comments and stuff. And what I did before, I try not to do any code before, but I tried to do some of the kind of grunt work before. What I did is that I built a simple API, and by API, I mean a flat JSON file. And I feel like I should say, if you're working with something like that you need to build charts or whatever for a client, and you're using front end code, and you don't have an API yet, using flat JSON is a great way to prototype and just get things working. And then in theory, once you get access to the live API, you just slot that crap in and you're good to go. Again, in theory. And what I built in this little API is a JSON file of sales. And what I have is 12 array elements representing this year, including the future. So I have all 12. And it represents sales data for apples, bananas, cherries, and donuts for random products. And you could just see that they have a name and they have a total. So this is a flat file. This will what we will be using. I also built a base HTML file that literally just says on document load, fetch that data. So my thinking, and this may go sideways based on how things go, but my thinking is that This data would be great for a line chart for, let's say, total sales each month. That'd be also be good for a bar chart. You can also do a multi-line and multi-bar chart, so you can have each of the four products over each of the 12 months. And I also think that a pie chart that just shows, like, over the year, this is the breakdown of all the apples, bananas, cherries, and donuts. So I shaped this data such that it could apply to a couple of different charts for us to work with. And so let's just, you know what? Let's just go to Google.com, and JavaScript charting. And let's just see. And I've used a couple of these, so I'm gonna kind of default to the ones I think that I kind of recognize. Oh, by the way, comparing the most popular JavaScript charting libraries, I think I wrote that. Let me see. No, I did not. Well, a couple years ago, I did do an article on this topic. Uh, Forget where I wrote it from. Anyway, let's start with Chart.js. I know I've used that before, and let's see just how easy it is to do this. So we'll click on Get Started, and why? It's the most popular. That's fine. You win the popularity contest. 11 years old. Excuse me. Let me drink some water. hmm This is all wonderful stuff. That's great. But let's actually get started. See how hard it is. So install Chart.js from npm or CDN. I'm going to use the CDN. I do not want to use npm. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go ahead and copy base.html to Chart.js1.html. We'll start with that. All right. So we had a script tag. I'll drop it right there. Boom. And and by the way, I'm absolutely skimming the docs. I know none of y'all in the room do that. You all read the documentation very, very closely and completely before you write any code. I'm going to be crazy and not do this, but I'm going to kind of just copy and paste what makes sense. So they're writing to a canvas element. All right, that seems sensible like that. And I am just going to take their code, which won't have my data at all, and just drop it in there. And then I'm going to answer the very good question that came in 1 second. I'm going to drop this right in case I didn't show it too quickly. Just so you know, I have a event listener on document, DOM content loaded, calling init. So init's where I'll do most of my stuff, and just paste that in there. And that's not tabbed correctly, but who cares about tabs? We're not doing Python. Save it. Let's open this up in our browser. And which window are you going to pick? There we go. All right, chart.js.html. Oh, look at that. That's definitely a chart. So I got asked out of curiosity, how to see why you prefer CDN over NPM. Trying to minimize the amount of dependencies in this application. Um, if I were to use npm, I'd have to go hunt and find the dist.js file typically, um, and just using the CDN just seems easier. If they also had an option of like download the file, I could have grabbed it from there as well. Uh, it comes down to simplicity, Brown and Ned. But thank you for asking that. And oh yeah, damn. I'm going to guess it's just Hausa for the demo, CDN for the web for light traffic, but probably NPM for yeah. So yes and no. I do a lot with CDNs even on my production code. Uh, Although y'all know I built a lot of like dumb demos and stuff like that. Again, if I were to do npm, I would try to find where the distribution file is, and I'd probably still copy that out just so I have like a static JavaScript file and put it in the same folder. That way, I don't have to do an npm install in production, if that makes sense. All right, so we have a chart. Like that was super easy. And I bet we could stop reading and just play and figure it out but I kind of want to see a little bit more. Let's break the code down. There's the canvas. Yep, give it its own container for responsiveness. We loaded that. And there is the code. All that kind of makes sense. Type, I can see my data, my labels, etc., and options and so forth. Let's see what we could do without reading more because that's how I roll. First thing I want to do is I want to size that chart, and I am assuming I can size adjust in CSS. So we'll drop this in the head and we'll do my chart, my chart. My doctor uses my chart. I love that because I love not talking to people. I love talking to y'all, obviously. But I love not talking to people on the phone. And I love my doctor sends me an email and I can look at my figures and see just how overweight I am. So we will say width, TA for gospel width, 500px, and we'll do a height of 500px. And just to give this like some context, we'll say my data, that's not terribly creative. Let's go back to the web page and you did not auto reload. Let's see. I did do that. Change detected. And why are you not reload? There we go. Okay, that's a little weird. It did not change the size of the chart at all. We'll go in the console. There's no errors. So I guess I have to actually read, unfortunately, to see how to do it. So installation, we're already past that. Integration can be integrated with plain JavaScript or different module loaders, etc., etc. I really feel like size and widths and all that will be next. We'll do step-by-step guide. There we go. Don't hesitate to follow the links in the text. All right. So we can skip doing package.json stuff because we're not. Oh, they sized the div wrapper. Okay, so the canvas is just going to fill the div completely. That is not what I would have guessed, but that makes sense. We'll call this chart wrapper. Give it a different ID from the canvas and update our style. And then look at that. Perfect. And I could have text beneath here as well. In theory, I should keep reading, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what I would do in real life. I would look at how they supplied the data for a simple bar chart, and I see the labels. And you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, let's start with maybe a bar chart of total sales. So if I need to provide data as just a set of numbers, let's get that first. So I have my sales as data right there. And let's go ahead and fix this tabbing because it is making me wig out a little bit. And let's get the sales into an array. So I'm going to make a new variable, chart data equals sales and the array function to modify. I am drawing, not reduce. Sales. What would it be? I'm gonna call this sales data actually because it has a sales key. So sales data dot map. That's the word I was looking for. So basically, sales dot map. I want to return a new array. So D will be, in theory, D will be each instance of this array. Each instance has a items with a total. So what I'm going to do is say let total equals 0. And then D dot items, how about this, for let key of D dot items. This should be each product. I could have called it, actually I should call it product. I want to add to the total. So total plus equals D items product, and the total is total. Let me actually do this the right way. That's a key total. And because I am 100% sure that I screwed this up, I will say console.log D, we'll name it D, and current product. We're gonna get a lot in the console. I'm not actually using chart data yet. I just want to make sure I didn't screw it up. Oh, and I have to actually return the total. So this should map that initial array to a new array that should be the totals for each month. Again, I am confident I did this wrong, but for the heck of it, let's see. All right, go in here and oh yeah, blank error means so I have my thing, my product and items, right? Cannot read let total. Let me just look at what product is real quick. I'm pretty sure it's just the key. Again, this is why no, it's not. It's the object. I always forget it's going to give you the whole thing. So I just want product dot total. I make that mistake all the time. Thank y'all for not laughing. Oh, there we go. And those numbers look right based on what I know about my data. I'm not actually using it, but and this is going to totally screw up the labels. Let's see what happens. Chart data and all right. Well, so it mapped to the number of labels it had and then just stopped. But the numbers are correct. So now what we need is we need a new array. Actually, that should be very easy. So chart labels, we're going to do the same thing. Sales data dot sales dot map, and we are going to be returning. Oops, forgot my little doohickey parentheses. We are returning the date of each item. So return d dot date. So that should be a new array of just the dates. And this is totally going to work. I'm completely confident. Chart labels. Uh, Save it. And look at that. Sales went up at the end of the year. And that was me totally kind of, faking it, thinking I'm just going to have sales gradually go up. I remember thinking, yeah, April should be a down month. We need to change the oh, we need to do something else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. It's actually rendering those dates just fine. That label shouldn't be number of votes. It should be total sales. Total sales. Look at that. We got a chart. That wasn't too hard. And I'm sure we could customize colors and stuff like that. Let me get rid of some of the console messages just to clear up some of the chatter. And we know that's working. Go back in. All right. So heck, let's try for a multi bar chart. And this is working. So before I screw it up, let me Control Z, Control V. We'll work on a new file called chart2. And I'm gonna close this so I don't accidentally screw it up. Chart2, let's actually do a multi-bar chart that shows each of those products. And I am assuming that the guide will make it pretty easy. We'll just click around, configure chart types. Let's look at a bar chart, and that's lovely. I like the different colors. I wonder how hard that was to do the different colors. They're specifying border colors. That's nice. Especially like if you know that your API is returning a year of sales, so you could hard code 12 colors. I at some point in my life I worked with a chart engine that would pick nice colors for you, which I appreciate. Um, but again, if you know your data, if you know it's 12 months of data, you could probably just pick 12 nice colors. But let's see, how hard would it be for multiple data sets? Let's see. I'm just scrolling past all the styling and stuff. Bar percentage versus category. Stacked bar chart. Eh, yeah, I mean, this is, bar charts can be appeared to show how one data series is made up of a number of smaller pieces. I agree. Like, you know what? I was kind of thinking, four small bars grouped together. You know what? Let's keep looking because I kind of that's what I want, and that's what I was hoping to see. And they don't have an example of that. Don't actually make me like read this whole thing. You know what? Let's do this. Search multi multi-series pi multi-axis line chart. Yeah, but I kind of want it in a bar. And you know what? Seeing the fact that they call it out and they don't call it here, well, maybe because I didn't click. So there we go. All right. I don't want it horizontal per se, but I do want, there we go. I want multiple sets of information. That's it. All right. Um, Kind of weird that they called that out in line charts versus calling it out in and not calling it out in the bar charts per se. But let's look if we see first anything weird here. The configuration looks pretty vanilla. Um, so it looks like the only change will be the data. And I do think that we'll need the different colors for apples, bananas, cherries, and so forth. We'll look at setup and see if we could figure this out. Um, so for labels, they just have it hard coded utils once. They're using some kind of library that just generate that out. So my labels in theory should be the same. Shouldn't have to touch that at all. The data sets is where it's going to change. And this actually kind of makes sense. So you give it a label, you pass it the data. I'll have to use more array functions for that. Border color, I may just leave alone, as well as background color. I am kind of curious where that utils comes from. Oh, right there. If they have a utility for colors, that's kind of nice. But let's keep it simple for now. So labels are going to stay the same. Data sets is going to be an array. And I'm going to have four of them because I have four products. And what I'm going to do is chart data. It's going to change for sure. All right. And if we look at it, they have data sets and then the array. And there we go. So we are going to comment this out. Comme ça, like that. Stop auto completing arguments. That's so crazy. And we'll say data sets equals chart data. And we are going to return an array that has a label and the data. The data needs to be for each one, each unique product. I am now I'm kind of hesitating because I'm trying to think, do I want this particular solution to be super flexible? Like if all of a sudden I add new products, it's just going to work, or do I want it to be a bit more static and say I know I have apples, bananas, cherries, and donuts, and I'm going to hard code those in my data. More abstract would absolutely be better, but I'm going to keep things a little practical at first and say, let's assume we have those 4 products. So I'm going to make a new array, and I'm just going to make it empty for now. And then let's do chart data dot push, and this is going to be, I'm going to push into it the data for apples. In fact, actually, you know what? Let's start a little bit simple and say, first, let me put a let there. We'll say let apple data, and this will be a new object. And we're going to hard code a label for that. Label, say Apple sales. Well, we know it's sales. We'll just say apples. And then data. And for this, I can kind of do what I did before, where I'm going to go over the entire array, but instead of getting the total for each one, I'm only going to get it for where the thing is an apple. So let's try coding this live and see what happens. Sales data dot sales dot map d. All right. So I want to say let total equals 0. Oh no, I just want to return d dot items, and again hard coding. I did apples dot total. So in theory, this will map across to 12 months, getting just the apples, and that should be it. So let's, it's gonna be broken, but let's look at Apple data, and see what it is. And this is chart 2. I definitely made sure not to break this. Reload. There we go. And unidentified options. So I broke something. And what? Ah, yeah, okay. One way, if I see like my editor flagging something red, I know I did something stupid, like forget a parens or something. Um, I should be able to set the value of data to the results of this map. I don't think I'm missing any. If y'all see it, let me know. Yeah, I feel like I'm missing a parens or something. Let's see, syntax errors. Yeah, but the syntax error, it's got to be data. Oh, yep, nope, that was much easier. It was actually in here, comma. There you go. That's why I get paid the big bucks. All right, go into console. Unexpected token, parens. Where did I forget? All right, since I obviously can't read. Oh, I see. This was inside data, which was right here. Oops, this, just copy and paste until everything goes away. So this is what it should be. That hanging comma there should be all right. And all right, now we're getting an error back in my map. So now we go back here and console.log for the win, console.log d, not console.log. Make sure d is what I think it is. Oh, no, okay. I was treating items like a object and doing a key value. It's an array. So I need to return, I could do another map. But I feel like I'm getting a little bit too fancy. So how about this? For let product, wow, let product of d dot items, if product dot name, yep, dot name equals apples, return product dot total. All right, this could be simplified into one line, I know, but So we have it. We have our Apple data. Let's make sure it's right. 541 and 558. 541, 558. So in theory now, chart data dot push Apple data. And oh my God, let's see if we get a chart. Look at that. All right. So let's just add bananas. And again, I am, seeing myself copy and paste exact same code. Like I know that's wrong. I acknowledge that. We optimize later, right? So bananas, bananas, and then we'll console.log. Really, maybe I think if I can get two of these working, then I may make it fancy. Oh, look at that. Bananas did not do well at all. And that's working. So if we really wanted this to be, a bit more dynamic, we could introspect all the data returned and get the unique names of products. That feels wrong. But instead, let's make it a bit more dynamic with hard coding products. So product names equals apples, bananas, cherries, donuts. And then what we can do is I'm going to get rid of banana data. And instead, we're going to say for let P of product names, put this up here. And we're going to put this in here. And we're going to call this, I really should be speaking more about what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of moving that kind of static data into my loop. And we'll just call this data. The label will be P, because now we're iterating over the product names. This will be P. And for each one, we are going to push into the array data. And if I did this correctly, I should now have all four products. And how many of you think I did it correctly? As I take a sip and try to remember that the live stream is like 30 seconds behind or so, and I should not expect an instant comment from people. All right, I got at least one. I think you got it. All right, no one thinks I didn't get it. Like, come on, like I'm okay with being roasted a bit. Let's look. Oh, look at that! Look at that! And I'm not gonna check the hard coded data to see if it's right. That feels like about what I did. Um, let's make that a little bit more spaced out. Why don't we? And get rid of some of our commented out data. Let's make this 800. Make it a nice big chart. Excuse me. And look at that. Look at that. I don't know if you noticed, and actually let's go back to the first one. When the chart was a bit more cramped, it automatically made those labels slanted, which I think is pretty cool. And when it had more space, it did it well. Um, I'll also note that I could actually transform 1/2024 to be January. Um, the iIntel library would work with that. iIntel was just a web API, which, by the way, I'm talking about at Connect Tech in Atlanta next month. But I actually prefer the numbers. It's much easier to read. It's more compressed, less space. But we could do that as well. I do see that. I'm not a fan of how close those colors are, but it did automatically add new colors. That's actually great. I lie. I'm fine with with this. Um, like up here, I feel like it's a little bit close, but when you look at him down here, you could definitely see um, that worked like super well. So now I'm curious, how easy is it to switch to a line chart? So let's go in here, copy and paste this, make this Chart.js 3. And for the heck of it, let's literally go to our configuration and type line and see what happens. I'd be super impressed if that just worked out of the box. Uh, oh, look at that. I like the automatic mouse over. Look at that. You could see, what's what. I notice I don't have the title that the demo had, and that was a configuration of title under options. Let's add this to our line chart. I'm not gonna worry about it elsewhere. Let's get this over. And it was just title, what? Title display equals true. That seems silly. Like, why would you know what? Let's leave it off and see what happens. Text sales of products for 2024. And that, again, I could introspect my data. If I know the API is doing a year of data, I can actually look at the first item, parse it, get the year. I'm fine being practical for now. And let's go back and look. That's one. Reload. Okay, so I guess I got to do display equals true. Surely there's a good reason for that. But, this is why you read the docs. Display equals true. Reload. Why are you not working? Title display. It was under options. Under plugins. All right. I don't know if I think that's a plugin per se, but all right. Plugins. Make that a home saw like that. And reload. And there we go. And now, again, I'm curious if that display equals true, because that does seem silly. You would think you would turn it off. And nope, it's required. All right, so we will put that there. And by the way, again, y'all on the stream, let me know if I alt tab too quick when I get focused. I know I tend to do that. Definitely need the display equals true. And there we go. Well, that was really darn easy. And took up most of the hour. I'd hope to do, I don't know how many inches. I thought maybe 2. Um, is the question, is the title on H1? Let us see by right clicking and inspecting. It's actually part of a canvas. So it's probably not going to be accessible. And that is something to think about. But, one thing at a time. What I'm curious about now is if we could turn this into a into a pie chart, because again, I let's stop clicking so much, Raymond. It's obvious that donuts are the winner, no big surprise, uh, but I would like to get a better idea of how my other three compare because apples seems very strong, but it dips. Uh, Bananas. No, cherries. Cherries seems a bit more consistent, but you know what? Let's do a pie chart. So I'm gonna take the first one. Actually, no, I'm not. You know what? I'm gonna take base dot. Now I'm gonna take the first one, and we'll call this chart.js 4. And that was giving me total sales, which I don't want anymore. So what I may do is actually just get rid of everything and copy and paste in whatever basic pie chart demo they have. So let's go to pie. Do they mean area charts? Well, where are your pie charts? Oh, there we go. I guess other. Nobody puts pie charts in the corner. It's crazy. Hey, Philip, what's up with you? Charts are up. Charts is what is up. So I wish they had a full simple thing I could copy, but that's all right. Uh, I'm actually going to bring back what they had. Bring back this. All right. Bring back this and then look at how they change the config, which is type equals pi. All right. Type equals pi. And this is where good spacing helps out a little bit. I mean, good indentation, and try to make it match what they have. So options, responsive, true, plugins. We are going to just keep that for now. Yeah. Look at the setup. So they have labels. So I have code for my labels that I erased. I'll bring it back. My chart labels are right here. Again, that's just getting the date values from each one. So we'll do that. And then the data sets will have one. I guess the data set is not really data set one. That's kind of weird, but we'll worry about that later. Yeah, because see, total sales should be the title. We'll fix that. We'll just say sales, and the data is going to be. I'm going to have four things. I'm going to have the totals for each product. So we know how to get that because we kind of did something similar where we hard coded our product names. And let me see here. So chart data, again, will be an array. And for each of my products, I need to return a total for a whole year. So I don't want this right now. What I need to return in, because I'm getting a little confused here, return the total for P. So I can get the total by looping over each of my years. So that is sales data. Sales data. I'm gonna use the for each. I know I could do this in a simpler array function, but we're gonna do this in just like this, like so. And then what I want is the one for my product, which you remember, uh, for P and D dot items. Items is how I break the products down. Yep. So if P dot name equals, oh, I can't use P again, for product and D dot items. If the product name equals the current name from our this hard coded list of things right there, then total plus equals product dot total. Yeah, so I'm looping over all of the sales data for the whole year. Each item, each month data has a object called items that has four keys for each product. I'm looking for just the one that I'm currently on, let's say apples, and I just add the total, and this should give me for the whole year what that total is. And then in theory, we can say total for P is total, and in theory, we just append it to. I feel like appending is wrong. I feel like just the raw value. Yeah, let's just do it. See what happens, right? Total, and we'll look at chart data. This chart's going to be just broken as heck, but hopefully our console messages will work, and we can at least see what we're getting here. So 4.html. Yep, I expected no chart to show up. Let me get this a little bit bigger and go into my console. Sales data for it because it's not. It's sales data dot sales. Sales data represents the call to the API, the top level. Sales was the actual information underneath that JSON. So go back, and I screwed something up. Total for Apple is 0. So let's look at our logic here. So we're looping over the hard-coded list of product names. We're going over each month and our sales data. And this, for the heck of it, let's look at console.log d.items. And we should have a lot of log messages. Yep. And yeah, items is an object. So for, yeah, and of. For product of d.items, that should give me a pointer to the actual item. And there we go. All right. And again, y'all, let me know if I'm going too fast. Get rid of this console, go back, and this looks great. I have, oh, and the chart's working almost already. That thing on the side is definitely bad, but the sales for donuts, which has to be that guy, that's definitely right. All right, so let's, knowing that we have our totals right, I'm just going to comment that out just in case I'm wrong. Um, let's look at how they are providing data to the pie chart to make it render well. So the labels red, orange, green, yeah, blue, that needs to match my products. I had that hard coded list product names there, so we will make, and probably don't even need chart labels anymore, but we do need product names. So now I should have 4 of them. He said with confidence, look at that. That is great. So probably the reason we have this little X axis over here is because I've been copying and pasting code and crap. Um, yeah, options, scales, boom, and get rid of that. Save it. And look at that, y'all. Pie chart. Let's see what theirs has, see if we want to take anything. I do like the title, and we kind of know how to do that. Remember in config, it was under plugins. You know what? I'm just going to steal the code from chart 3. So put it right under options. And too many windows. Go back. Look at that. Sales of products for 2024. Bam. Are we missing anything else on this nice chart? Nope. We have, yeah, our labels. Our labels work. Um, you know what? We have, about 10-ish minutes. I kind of wonder if I can make something show up in the pie chart, so I don't have to mouse over and see the numbers. Let's see if they have any examples where they will go on the docs actually. See if they show like labels. Show them hard coded so you don't have to mouse over. And I'm not seeing anything. Let's go in the samples tab. Do so out of the box. And we're back here again. So maybe we won't do that. Probably if I dug down a little bit more, I could find it. Um, hmm. Yeah, I guess I won't worry about that because it looks like maybe it's too hard to do. Um, like, all right, it's like to be clear, what I'm thinking is that I wouldn't mind seeing the number 100 here. Also, my first data set, is it saying that? No, it's saying sales. Yeah, I like that better. We did okay. And you know what? So I have a line chart. Let's actually go back over these. So I have total sales. That's great. Oop, too far back. We have our second example, which is the multi-bar chart. I like that a lot too. We have our line chart, and I'm confident that if I wanted a total line chart as well, I would, but that'd be kind of a boring chart. And then we have our pie chart, and we did everything actually. I'm pretty happy with that. um, so you know what? Because we are down to about 10 minutes. So what I'm thinking is that this is a good place to stop. And then what could be cool is that next week, next session, we try a different library and like compare and contrast and see um, how hard it is to use. Um, you know, if we run into any issues, glitches, stuff like that. We could also like literally compare the different outputs to see which is prettier. So maybe our next library will be a kind of a pain in the butt to use, but it looks a lot better. But this is free. This is working. What I will point out, as soon as we're done with this session, I am going to put this show like that. This is going to be up on the Codebreak GitHub repository. It will be in a folder called, what did I call it? I called it Charts One. You can find it there. You can find all the examples. And the API is just hard-coded JSON. So you run a local web server like I do. You can just pop it up and you can see it for yourself. Um, we didn't really tweak anything on this, so we could have done a lot more. But I freaking love that. Like, if my boss asked me to chart this data, um, then I have it done in an hour. And so, if they come back and then said, "Okay, can you make it match our corporate colors and stuff like that?" I remember seeing that in the docs where they specified particular colors, so it's possible. But at least, hey, this would be enough to show my boss the basic charts. So, any because we do have a few minutes left, let me do this so I can look at y'all direct. Uh, any more questions from y'all before we wrap things up? I'll also say, if you have any ideas for a charting engine that you know of that is, again, JavaScript based and free, that's the big one. I don't want to pay for anything. Um, if you have any in mind, just spit them out in comments, and I'll put them on my list. Um, I would assume we can do one, but if y'all give me some ideas, I'd be happy to consider them for next time. And if you don't have any ideas, that is fine too. I appreciate everyone being here. Let me get rid of that banner so y'all can see my lovely gray chin. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. This has been fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you for your attention and time. Uh, go through. So, Brownette, nice to see you. Oh, okay. I thought it was a question. You were literally saying what I did, and I got confused. That just shows you how smart I am and why I'm very good at failing interviews because your comment about what I just did went like way over here. Thank you. I appreciate it. Um, if y'all think of something later in terms of a charting engine, like, hey Ray, I heard about so and so .js that does charts. You should let me, you should try that. I'd be happy to hear about it. I'm also I'm not opposed to a non-JavaScript one either. And by that, what I mean is that Google a long time ago, I don't think they have it anymore. They had a URL driven static charting engine where you would just craft a URL and put a crap ton of stuff on it, and they would return a GIF or JPEG, whatever. And it was, a non-interactive chart, like you couldn't mouse over it and stuff like that. But it was a chart with no JavaScript library, which was pretty cool. Um, I'm almost tempted to consider building that, but no, I don't want to build that. But if y'all know of a solution like that, again, I'm pretty sure they killed their version of that. Something like that, I'd be open to that as well. And by the way, stuff like that works very good for emails as well. So if you need to send an email out that includes a chart, something like that would be a solution. But anyway, let me know. I am Raymond Camden at gmail.com. You can send me anything you want. Again, thank you. I know the schedule this summer, or it's fall now, right? I know the schedule has been a little wonky. Still working on making that a bit more firm. I will advertise on my blog posts about when uh, things are going to happen next. And I think outside of that, I'm going to tell y'all goodbye and thank you again. Bye, y'all.